Yeah, should I use Abimbola's rather than use your project? Yeah, let me go and use the project we created for training purposes so that I don't mess things up on your project. Bear with me. Where is that one? Okay, yeah, this is the project. I'm just quickly going to set a sprint on it also. I think we have stories on it. I can't remember again. Sorry about that. Let me just quickly check on our project board if we have some stories there that I can move around. I have one here. I'm just going to return all these back to, let me move them back to committed. So we've done sprint planning. We'll put them in committed. I'm going to move this also to committed. Okay. Do I still have any other stories? So I'm just going to create just about 2 or 3 more quickly and call it workshop. To make that workshop, create another one also and call it okay, let's work this 3 stories. I'm moving them also to committed. Moving this one also to committed. Okay, I remember during our time we said Tommy is the, I'm going to leave this one as Abimbola. Remember that Tommy was our BA. So the stories are coming when they're committed, they're in the BA's name. Okay, so I'm gonna put Tommy's name there. Okay, so there are all the story and the book that we want to commit to. Okay, so our sprint planning has finished. We've all agreed that these are the 4 stories that we're taking, or no, not 4 stories, 2 stories and 1 book that we're taking into the sprint. Yeah. So once they are there, for me to move them into sprint, okay, sorry, I need to do the, let's say this one is going to take an effort of 1 to do. This one is going to take 2. We've done the estimation. We said this is a 3. We've done the estimation, and this is a 5. Okay. So notice that when they're in committed here, if I go on my sprints, there won't be anything there, even though they are in committed. They are not showing yet on my sprint. So I'm going to set my sprint date also, just like I did with Abimbola's one. So this is, and this is 16. Save and close. Okay, I've set my sprint date. You can see that. So I'm going to go back to the main board. You can see there's nothing here yet, even though we've moved them into committed. So in order for you to see those stories being committed to on your sprint board, come back to your main board, go to view as backlog. Okay, at the top there you see view as backlog. Click on that. And then you can see all the stories there in the backlog. So 2 ways that you can move it. I'll do two with the 2 options you have. You can just click down and drag. So if I click down on this and drag it into sprint 1, this is sprint 1. Yeah, that's the current sprint 1. You can see it says I've successfully moved a work item here. And then this demo one also, if I drag it in here, you can see one of each there. So you can do it that way, or I'm going to close this up, and you can see it says iteration path. You can see sprint 1, it's put it there already. Another way you can do it is if I click down on this number 3, you can see that is highlighted in blue. Okay, press your shift key that is in between your cap lock and control. There's a shift key, arrow looking up. Press it down on your keyboard on left. Now go to the right of your keyboard. There are arrows that are showing page up, page down. Click on the page down to the next one. I'm holding down the shift key, which is on the left, the arrow looking up, and I've gone to my right, the right side of my keyboard. At the bottom, you will see 2 arrows. One says page up, the other one says page down. You click on the page down because you wanted to pick the one at the bottom. So once you've done that, you can release your hand from the shift key. Now click on either of these one. It can be the top one or the bottom one. It doesn't matter. If I click on the ellipses, it's going to open up. It says, and then you have move to iteration. You can see move to iteration there. The iteration I want to move it to is sprint what? Sprint 1. So if I click on that, you can see the 2 of them have moved into sprint. So you can either do it by opening your planning. For me to open my planning, where we saw that planning that I closed earlier on, you come here where you have view more options. So beside your backlog items, there is this like 3-ring icon. Click on it, and then you can see planning at the bottom here. So if I click on planning, that's what normally opens up your planning page that we used in dragging. And when you finish, you can see now that there are 3 stories there and there's 1 bug there. When you finish your planning, you can close your planning here. So you can see all 4 stories now are in sprints. Okay, so I'm going to view back as a board, and then we'll need board. So if you go into your sprint board, we can see all the 4 items, work items that we moved. Notice that there's still nothing showing also, just like there's nothing showing on Optimize board, there's nothing showing also on mine. Okay, so I'm going to click out of that. Now, once it's this way, yeah, you need to tell your developer. Remember, Abimbola is my developer. You need to tell your developer, they need to come here. Remember when we're doing the demo, they came here to your sprint board in order to create their task against the story. So Abimbola is going to work on fixing these defects. So she's going to click on that plus and put fix bug or fix defect. Okay, I'm going to click out of it. Let me assign it to Abimbola. Okay, so if Rita, one of the tester, is the one that has raised this bug for Abimbola to work on, Rita is going to say retest. Okay, let's say retest defect. Okay, I'm going to click out. Then she's going to assign it to herself. So I'm going to assign it so that we know particular task against this bug is working on it. Okay, all right. So the other ones that are main stories now, let's assume Abimbola also as a developer is the one that is going to build the demo. If demo is a particular feature or functionality, let's just assume that is what it is. So Abimbola will say develop, depending on the language she wants to use, So she can say develop the demo. If before she needs to develop this demo, she needs to do an investigation on it, she can say Spike. Okay, she can create a Spike task for herself, which she needs to do first before she now develops. It's not all the time. I'm just saying if she needs to. Okay, and then if this is going to be tested now by Tunji, we'll have tests. If she's going to do manual test on it, let's assume it's going to do manual test and automation on this particular demo. So you will say manual testing and then say hyphen demo. Okay. And then if it's going to do automation on the same thing, it will say automation on demo. Sorry. Okay. We'll say automation on demo. Okay, so I'm going to click out of that and I am going to assign it to Tunji because he's the one working on this one. Okay, so this is what Scrum Masters you need to teach your team members to do. So I'm running it as a workshop for you. Remember, Abimbola is the one working as a developer. Okay. Abimbola working as a developer on this one. So we want to know how many hours is it going to take Abimbola to fix this? Abimbola can say, oh, it's going to take me roughly 2 hours to do it. And then Rita is going to say, oh, it's going to take them just 1 hour to retest it. Can you see what is happening at the top there? The hours are adding up at the top there. Okay. So after that, we'll come to the main one. So she can say, oh, to do this, I need like 5 hours to do the Spike, to do the investigation before I can build. So once I done the Spike, then it can now take me 3 hours. You can see that against the story itself, we already have an 8 hours on that story. And then up to here also is adding up. Yeah. Okay. So here, Tunji can say, the manual test is going to take me just 2 hours, but the automation, however, is going to take me 3 hours to do. Because I think automation is more tech than manual. So they take more time doing automation than the manual test. So you can see all those hours that has been recorded against those stories just for this one. They're adding up. Okay, they're adding up. And then the same goes for all the other ones. And once that has been done, that would now, again, your chart, you can see your charts without going on your dashboard in 2 places. You can see it here. You should be able to pick up now. Why is it not picking up? Okay, we'll go and create the chart itself. And then another place you can see it is here. Okay, so you can see because of the hours that I've put, you can see it here. You can see it showing. Without putting the hours and everything, this thing was blank. But now that we've put the hours, so until your developers and testers create their task on their sprint board, that might, and this, okay, so you can see there's a change. When we went to analytics now and see it, you can see that that has been added. If I remove all these hours, this thing will go flat again. Okay, so until your testers and developers put their hours per, the hours they're going to use to carry out this particular task here, until they put it here, you won't see it showing. You won't see your chart showing. Okay, so they need to do that. If they've not done it yet, please get in touch with them during your stand-up. Remind them that they need to do that, or might even watch them doing it during stand-up, I don't know, or tell them that they need to do it, update them that they need to do it, and ensure that they're actually doing it. Because if they don't do it, it will affect your chart. You won't be able to see what you need to see on your chart. Okay, so, and all these hours that we have recorded, yeah, is based on the capacity. So let's assume now that, when we're doing the capacity, let me go back to capacity and put capacity for my team members. Okay, so Abimbola is developer. You can see that all the activities has been filled up. Let's assume nobody is taking any time off. And when we look at the Abimbola, by the time I calculated Abimbola's hours, it's going to do 3 hours per day. Tunji intends to do another 3 hours per day. This is just Luatife is a tester also. She's doing 3 hours per day. Moji is a Scrum Master. Laumi is ADM, so I'm not going to record any time for them because they are not doing actual development or testing. Rita is going to do another 3 hours to leave it at that. Omi is a BA, so she's not going to use any 3 hours, and nobody is taking any time off. So those are the hours they're doing per day. And remember, it's 10 days. So that means Abimbola has 30 hours here to use. Okay, let's go back to those stories now. I'm going to, okay. It's asking if stay because I didn't save it. Bear with me. So I have to click on save or else I will lose everything that I've just put there if I say leave. So I'm going to go back on the board itself. And I know Abimbola has 30 hours, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to increase Abimbola's hours more than 30 hours, and I will show you what will happen. So this is another one that we want to put develop. I'm going to put develop there. I'll use Abimbola's one alone for now. So this task is for Abimbola. Oh, okay. So already she has how many hours? This is 8, 10 out of her 30 hours. So I'm going to make this one 13 hours. And I'm going to create another one and call it develop also. That's for Abimbola also. And I'm going to give this one another 13 hours. Meaning that Abimbola is saying, no, it's going to take me 13 hours to do this. It's going to take me 13 hours to do. That's 26 plus 10. That's 36. Remember that she had how many hours to work? She had 30 hours for the whole sprint, but she has now estimated that for all her tasks, with the number she's put on it, if you add it together, is up to 36. Now, how you know that she's put too much hours on things she needs to do? If you come to work details here, this one that says work details, can you see the red you're seeing for Abimbola? You can see activity. So for activity on our capacity board, she's the only one that has that activity for development. Yeah. And she said she's going to do 3 hours per day. And for the 10 days is 30. But that's how you know if your team members have overestimated their task. Can you see that? So this is showing 36. And her capacity is 30. So that means she's put too much. Sunji is still within the thing. Boluwatife, because we've not put any tax for Boluwatife. That's why we're not seeing Boluwatife's on. Rita's on, we've given Rita 1 hour. So out of Rita's 18 hours for the whole sprint, yeah, this shows you that she has 1 hour. She has estimated 1 hour. But Abimbola has estimated how many? 36 hours out of her 18 hours. So she has 18 hours for the whole sprint, and she has estimated 36 hours. So that's why it's showing you red. That's showing you red to say that, oh, she's gone beyond. There is no way you can go beyond the hours that you've committed to the sprint. So you can use this also to check, depending on the hours that you've put for their capacity and the hours that they are putting on their task. The hours that they put for their capacity, the total has to match with the total they are putting on their task. It can't go beyond. It has to be in green. to show that they are within limits. Yeah. Okay. Any question on that? Any question? None? Cool. Okay, so you can
Sorry,
stop
I
the
just want to
talking.
say before we can fill the board, does that mean everyone has to be on? Every of our team members has to be on for us to ask relevant question in terms of how many hours they can get done
You
and
can
things
do
like that.
normally, we said the sprint planning thing, you have to do it. Sorry, the capacity planning, you have to do it before. Yeah,
All
before
right,
your
okay.
sprint planning. So all these places, by the time you have your team's capacity per person and everything, you will have filled up these ones before your sprint planning. So you filling up this one, knowing the total, because then you'll be able to look at the total and everything, will help you.
Okay.
Yeah, because let's assume that the previous sprint you did, you have full team, and then you can't use your velocity until after your first sprint. So velocity wise, don't worry for now. Okay, after your first sprint, the Azure DevOps, once you set up your widget for velocity to tell you what your team's velocity should be, and then you keep calculating it, and you can start using it to guide your team on how many stories you can take into sprints based on your story points on your velocity. But this is your first sprint, so it won't give you your velocity. If you create a velocity now, it won't give you anything because this is the first sprint. Okay, so you can from now on is when you know. So let's assume that you started working and the PO says, oh, I want you to work on 10 stories. By the time you're the end of this sprint and you have full capacity, at the end of this sprint, you'll know the number of stories that you can complete, or you've completed realistically. You will know that going into the next sprint, let's assume you took 10 in and you're only able to do 4. The next sprint, you're not going to take 10 in, are you? Because you know that you won't complete it. And that helps you going forward to know the capacity for your team. So our team, even in full capacity, can work on so. Now, another factor you need to put in place. Just because at the first sprint they were able to do 4 doesn't mean they can't do 5 or 6 in the next sprint. Remember, it's all about experience. So when they initially started, they didn't have that experience. Going forward, for every sprint, their experience gets better and better. They're upskilling in what they're doing. They now know how to do manual testing. They now know how to do automation. They are getting better. For the first sprint, it might not be that. But the moment they keep going on and on, they are getting better in what they're doing. And then the story might, not can or must, might increase, might not, because the more they are getting better and better, they might also be meeting with complexity and more technical things that they need to deal with. But with each sprint finishing, looking at your dashboard and all that, the metrics is able to guide you through how to better plan for the next sprint as you go along. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any question from anyone? None? Okay, so that's all for tonight. I'm not sure if I don't think Laumi wants you to come. Abimbola, are you recording again?